Good morning, YouTube. So, last week we got revealed for a brand new deck building set. It had 3 new archetypes. One of them was a Pendulum based archetype, and the other one was I think it was like something to do with a Labyrinth, which is very protective, and then there was another archetype as well. So the first one has been revealed, and all of its cards within it have been revealed, or the majority have them. And this one is the Pendulum one. It is a Pendulum spellcaster, so wake up Triff, here we go. So they're called Valiants. Valiants no Miko, or Priestess of the Valiants. Level 2 water, spellcaster, Pendulum effect monster. 500 attack, 500 defense, Pendulum scale of 1. Its Pendulum effect is you can only use the Pendulum effect of this card's name once per turn. During your main phase, you can special summon this card from your main monster zone. Special summon this card to your main monster zone in this card's column. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn except Valiant monsters and monsters from the extra deck. So, pretty much helps out your Pendulum plays. Its monster effect is you can only use the first and second effect once per turn. If you control this special summon card, you can add a Valiant spell from your deck to your hand. Wow, that's pretty cool. If this card is moved from a monster zone to another, you can add 1 Valiant monster from your deck to the hand except itself. Oh no, it's going to be column shifting. Ooh, okay. Then we've got Sheon, Archer of the Valiants, level 4 water spellcaster, Pendulum effect. Oh, it looks like a wind. Should have been a wind. Pendulum scale is 1. You can only use the Pendulum effect to this card once per turn. During your main phase, you can special on this card to your main monster zone in this card's column. You can't special for the rest of the turn except Valiants and monsters from the extra deck. Maybe they all share the same effects. You can only use the first and second effect once per turn. If you control a special on card, type 1 effect monster on the field, toss a coin, and if heads, negate that monster's effects. If tails, its current attack becomes halved. What year? Are we back in 2015 that we're actually going to use coin tosses? Is this just so Konami can sell their little commemorative coins? If this monster is moved from a monster zone to another, you can type 1 card on the field, toss a coin. If heads, destroy that card. If tails, return it to the hand. I mean, that's kind of cool. Like, you get the 1 or the 2. And then we've got the level 6 Nazuki Ninja of the Valiants. Again, it should have really been a dark. I would have preferred them adapting the attributes, which would have been cool. Pendulum scale 1, attack of 18 and defense of 18. If you can only use the Pendulum effect once per turn. If Valiant's Void Shirobusho is in the field zone, or if you control a water Valiant monster, you can special on this card from your main to your main monster zone in this card's column. That's going to be tricky. You can only use the first and second effect once per turn. Type 1 other monster in the main monster zone. Move it to an adjacent monster zone. There we go. If this card is moved from a monster zone to another, you can type 1 Valiant monster card in your spell and trap zone. Special summon it to your main monster zone in its column. Now, that's interesting. Is it going to let us put... Is there a card that lets us put the Valiants into the... like the normal spell and trap zone, not just the Pendulum scales, but anyway. Hojo, Warrior of the Valiants, level 8. They're not very strong for like high levels. And then my computer's telling me to free up some space. Pendulum scale, if Valiant Voids Shirobusho is in the field zone, or if you control Water Valiant, you can special on this card to your main monster zone in this card's column. You can only use the first and second effect once per turn. You can type 1 face-up card in the spell and trap zones, return it to the hand. If this card is moved from a monster zone to another, you can fusion summon 1 Valiant fusion monster from your extra deck, using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material, as well as cards in your Pendulum zones. Okay, interesting. I mean, the artwork, I'm all happy with the artworks. Again, it's a water. I would have preferred it to be a fire, but like, I love all the artworks. I think they're pretty cool. Valiant's Buster Baron, a level 2 fire machine Pendulum effect. Pendulum scale of 1. So again, all the scales are 1, so they're not really Pendulum summoning at the moment. Only use a Pendulum summon effect once per turn. Special on this card to a main monster zone in this card's column. You can only use... the monster effect is you can only use the first and second effect. If you control this special summon card, you can type 1 other Valiant monster in your main monster zone. Move that target to an adjacent monster zone. There we go. So that's also quite helpful. And the fact it's a level 2, you can just... well, you can't even really normal summon it because it has to be special summoned. If this card is moved, you can type 1 card in the Pendulum zone, paste it face up in an adjacent spell and trap zone as a continuous spell. There we go. That's how you do it. Interesting. Okay. Valiant's Voltage Viscount. Again, special summon it to a main zone in the card's column. If you control this special summon card, you can place one face-up Valiants Pendulum monster from your extra deck face-up into your spell and trap zone as a continuous spell. Yeah, there we go. If this card is moved from a monster zone to another, place a face-up Valiant Pendulum monster from your extra deck in your Pendulum zone. So basically, it Pendulum summons without actually Pendulum summoning, which is interesting. It kind of gets past the mechanic. And then we've got Valiant's Mad Marquise. If Valiant Void Koenig Wisan, I probably butchered that, is in the field zone, or you control a Fire Valiant monster, you can special summon this card into your main monster zone. During your main phase, you can roll a 6-sided dice and excavate cards from the top of your deck equal to the result. And if you do, you can add one excavated Valiant card from your to your hand, shuffle the remaining back into the deck. That's pretty cool. I like that. If this card is moved from a monster zone to another, you can roll a 6-sided dice. And if the result is 2, 3, 4, or 5, special summon one monster from your spell and trap zone to your main monster zone in its column. Again, that's pretty cool. Valiant Dominator Duke. You can only use Pendulum effect once per turn if you've got the field spell in play, or you control a Fire Valiant monster. You can special summon this card from your main monster zone in its column. You can target one set card in the spell and trap zone. It cannot be activated this turn. That's alright, it's kind of like Fire Fist. If this card is moved from a monster zone to another, you can target a face-up monster in your opponent's main monster zone and take control of it. And if you do, treat it as a Valiant monster. It cannot declare an attack or activate its effects. Okay, here we go. This has got to be the fusion, right? Yeah, Valiant Assemble Mamanoka. Level 10 water. Spellcaster fusion pendulum effect. So 2800. So this is where it starts getting its beaters in play. Pendulum scale is 10. Whoa. You can only use the pendulum effect to this card's name once per turn. During your main phase, you can activate one of these effects. Special summon this card to your monster zone in its column. Move one monster from your main monster zone to an adjacent main monster zone. So that's pretty cool. It requires 3 Valiant monsters. You can only use the first effect once per turn. During the main phase quick effect, you can target one effect monster in your opponent's main monster zone. Place that monster in your opponent's spell and trap zone in that monster's column as a face-up continuous spell. If a card is already in that zone, destroy it. And if you do, and if you destroy a monster card this way, your opponent loses life points equal to its attack. That's pretty cool. I like that effect. If this special summon card you control is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can place it into the Pendulum zone. Alright. This looks badass. This is really cool. I like that. So it's called Valiant Genius Grand Duke. Level 10, 2500 attack, 2500 defense, pendulum scale of 10, and it is a fusion. So it requires 2 Valiant monsters, so it's a little bit easier to get out. Oh, look at the artwork on that field spell. We'll get down to that in a minute. So during the main phase, activate one of these effects. Special summon this card to the main monster zone in its column. Move one monster in your main monster zone to an adjacent monster zone. That's cool. Must first be either fusion summoned or special summoned from your face down extra deck by tributing 1 level 5 or higher non-fusion Valiant monster in the same column as an extra monster zone. That's pretty cool. I like that. If this card is special summoned, you can type one monster card in your opponent's spell and trap zone, return it to the hand, and if you do inflict damage to your opponent equal to its attack, then this card gains attack equal to half the damage they took. That's cool. But yeah, look at that. That is awesome. I think this little bit here ruins it, but that is still pretty cool. So Valiant's Void, so is the other field spell. Like they just look like they look like parts on a table, but I don't think they need to look like parts on a table. You can only use the second effect of this card once per turn. When this card resolves, place one Valiant field spell from your deck face out in your opponent's field zone. Oh no. Ah, it's gonna be like Dream Mirrors. Ah. Okay, fine. If there are 2 cards in your field zone, the turn player can target one monster card in their spell and trap zone. The turn player special summons it to their main monster zone in the same column. Ugh, no. Shira Bansho is basically like the whole of creation, the whole of nature. It gets used to emphasize the natural part of the world. Valiant's Void. Field spell card, you can only use the second effect of this card once per turn. When this card resolves, place one Valiant's field spell from your deck face up in your opponent's field zone, except itself. If there are 2 cards in your field zone, the turn player can target one effect monster in their opponent's main monster zone in the same column as a monster the turn player controls. Place the targeted monster face up into the controller's spell and trap zone in the same column as a continuous spell. If there's already a card in there, destroy it. Keong Waisen means something like Knowledge Kingdom. That's cool. And then, of course, they get a Heavy Metaphors reprint. They may bring back heavy metal foes for this archetype. I'm not sure. It's certainly interesting. I like the mechanic and the way it works. It's a lot different. It's basically Pendulum summoning without creating your scales. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how it works and how people are going to start to play it when it comes out. And it's definitely something to be looking into. I personally like the look of the Labyrinth ones because they look very, very dark. And I'm hoping that it's going to lead to Gate Guardian Labyrinth kind of support in the future. But that still remains to be seen. Regardless, I think the archetype looks cool. I think the Valiant waters are very bright and colourful. And I love the artwork on those. I think the machines is really cool as well. I like the kind of the comparison between something that's basically future machineroids versus ancient warriors, which I think is really kind of cool. And it'll be interesting to see. I think the boss monsters look awesome as well. The field spells look really cool. I love the detail in those. And it'll be interesting to see what they can do. I don't feel that what they've got, the capabilities they've got, are going to be like top tier meta. But they definitely look like they have potential to kind of put it. And this guy right here clearly agrees. Look at that face. Look at that smiley face. Anyway, shout out to Yugioh Organisation for this. If you want to check this out, I'll put the link in the description below. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, guys, as absolutely always, stay safe and happy dueling.